Okay, so we are going to study about toxins today. Now, toxins we know are poisonous substances, and these toxins they may be released or produced by living organisms. Okay, the living organisms like bacteria or fungi are capable of releasing certain toxins. And these toxins, when they are released, they can cause various types of diseases. Okay, now the severity of the disease may range from the type of toxins or the amount of toxin that has been ingested or released in the person's body. Okay, based upon that, the the severity of the disease is characterized. Now, the organisms which are capable of producing toxins, they include bacteria, fungi, algae, and there are even certain plants who are capable of releasing some toxins. Some of the major type of toxins include, but they are not limited to environmental, marine, and microbial toxins. Microbial toxins may include those that are produced by the bacteria, which are known as bacterial toxins, and if they're really released by fungi, they are called mycotoxins. The word myco means fungi, and hence they are called as mycotoxins. Okay, so we will first study about the bacterial toxins. Bacterial toxins, mainly they can be classified into two categories. One is exotoxin, another is known as endotoxin. Now, exotoxins, they are immediately released into the surrounding environment, whereas endotoxins are not released until the bacteria is killed by the immune system. Exo means outside, endo means inside, and exo is like externally. When the toxins are being released, those toxins are called as exotoxins. And when these toxins are released inside the body of a person, those are known as endotoxins. The release of toxins into the surrounding environment, regardless of when it is released, results in the disruption of the metabolic pathway in the host eukaryote. Then this metabolic pathway include damaging cell membranes, disrupting protein synthesis, inhibiting neurotransmitter release, or activating the host immune system. Okay, so it doesn't matter like how long has it been that the toxin has been released. So, but ultimately the toxin will affect the host. Okay, and the effect is mostly on the metabolic pathway. That is, the metabolic pathway is disrupted. We know that our body's cell follows a certain pathway for its metabolism. Our entire body follows that. But when certain toxins are released or certain toxins enters our body, then these pathways are disrupted. When these pathways are disrupted, then the normal functioning of the body is also disrupted. So those toxins, when they disrupt the pathway, it leads to damaging the cell membranes, disrupting protein synthesis. It inhibits the neurotransmitter release. So then when the neurotransmitter release is inhibited, then it affects the nerve cells. Okay, the nervous system doesn't properly functions. Then it also activates the host immune system. The mechanisms of action by which toxins disrupt the eukaryotic cell processes are dependent on the target. Okay, so in what way the toxin is going to affect the mechanism of a particular cell? Now that will depend on the target. You know, a toxin will also target a particular organ. Depending on it will depend upon what kind of toxin has entered, and then what is actually the target organ. So everything will be dependent upon, and then the effect will be seen in a person. There are some toxins which are neurotoxins, which affects the nerve cells. Okay, so its target cells are the nerve cells, not any other cells. Okay, in this way, this is how they target. So based on their target, the effect will be seen in a host. For example, the bacteria Listeria monocytogenes. This is a bacteria. Now, this particular bacteria is associated with what? With foodborne illness. So it will affect, or first of all, it will enter the body along with food. Most of the time, it enters a body along with milk. Okay, Listeria. Then, since it is associated with food, specifically, it targets cholesterol by producing a pore-forming toxin protein, which is known as listeriolysin O. Now, listeriolysin O is a toxin. Okay, in nature, it is proteinaceous toxin of proteinaceous nature, and this particular toxin, it targets what? The cholesterol. Okay, so this protein, what it does, in the structure of the cholesterol, it leads to the formation of pores. So the cholesterol does not retain its original structure. So that is the target area of that particular toxin. This exotoxin affects intracellular processes and creates unregulated pores within the cell membranes of the host. Now, inside the cell, this toxin, exotoxin, it will affect. Okay, it will enter the cells, and then in areas where there are cholesterol, this toxin, they target those areas and they start forming pores in the cell membrane of the host. Then similar example of toxin, now this time it's an enterotoxin. This example of an exotoxin includes an enterotoxin, which is produced by the bacteria called Staphylococcus aureus. Now, Staphylococcus aureus produce staphylococcal enterotoxin B. Okay, and this particular toxin is associated with the intestinal illness. When it is targeting the intestine, it promotes activation of the immune system. And upon activation of the immune system, a release of large amount of cytokines takes place, and inflammatory related molecules, they get released, and finally it causes significant inflammation in the intestine. Lastly, an example of endotoxin include the protein lipopolysaccharide produced by the gram-negative bacteria. The lipopolysaccharide is a component of the bacteria's outer membrane, and it promotes structural integrity. Upon destruction of the membrane by an immune response, this lipopolysaccharide is released and it functions as a toxin. Okay, however, bacterial toxins are also currently serving as a new source of potential drug development. Toxins have been shown to exhibit anti-cancer characteristics and fight against microbial virulence. So this is an investigation that is going on. So toxin basically is a virulent factor of the bacteria. Virulent factor, as you all know, is a factor which is the factor of pathogenesis for a bacteria, which helps them to cause an infection, or it can also be used as a method of protection for themselves, for the bacteria themselves. Okay, so that is the role of a toxin in them. But then when it comes in contact with the host, it causes severe damage to the host. There are many bacteria who releases toxins in the food, and then when you don't eat hygienic food, then those toxins again enter your body through those food, and then they cause food poisoning. You will be studying in details about those bacteria. So this is an idea about toxins. Okay, then these were bacterial toxins. Similarly, you will also find several mycotoxins, that is toxins which are related to fungi, produced by fungi. There are various types of mycotoxins, and then these are some common names: aflatoxins, ochratoxins, cyprinine, and argot alkaloids. And these toxins, mycotoxins, they are considered as secondary metabolites that are toxic to humans and produced by fungi. So these are the several types of you will find several others. These are a few of the mycotoxins that are produced by fungi. Okay, so you will study in details about these toxins, these mycotoxins in your mycology class. Fine. So now I've already told you that microbial toxins are toxins that are produced by microorganisms, and that may be bacteria and fungi. Now microbial toxins, since toxins are the virulence factor of the bacteria, therefore these toxins, they promote infection and disease as they directly damage the host tissues and they disable the immune system. The immune system cannot work. They stop the working of the immune system. Some bacterial toxins such as botulinum neurotoxin, which I had just mentioned a while ago, Clostridium botulinum, which is a foodborne disease. Now that botulinum neurotoxin are the most potent natural toxins known. However, microbial toxins also have important use in medical science and research, and that has been being researched upon now. Now, these bacterial toxins, as I told you, are of two types, mainly of two types. One is exotoxin and endotoxin. Exotoxins are generated and actively secreted, and endotoxin, they remain part of the bacteria. That means endotoxins, they will go along with bacteria, okay, inside the body. And then there will be the formation of the there will be the release of the toxins, and then that will lead to causing of the infection and all. Then exotoxins, they are generated or they are secreted. They do not go along with the bacteria. Usually an endotoxin is part of the bacterial outer membrane. So endotoxin, it is most of the time present in the bacterial outer membrane, and it is not released until the bacterium is killed by the immune system. So that means killing of that bacteria by the immune system, which like a bacteria having a toxin or a bacteria which carries an endotoxin, and that kind of bacteria entering a body and being killed by the immune system is not a healthy sign, because that killing of the bacteria, such kind of bacteria, if they are killed by the immune system, it becomes more dangerous, because after their death they release toxin. Means even after their death they are very dangerous. Their capability doesn't stop because they can release those toxins. That is how their function is. That means you kill them, they will release the toxins. Okay. So the body's response to an endotoxin can involve severe inflammation in general. The inflammation process is usually considered beneficial to the infected host, but if the reaction is severe enough, it can lead to sepsis. Severe inflammation is like that inflammation which is seen or which is caused is an activity of our immune system. So when an inflammation process is seen, until that time we think that our immune system is working. So that is why the response is being shown. But sometimes the inflammation is too high. It is too severe. When it is too severe, that means there is some problem. Okay. And then it can lead to sepsis. Sepsis means the infection will be in the blood. It will spread throughout the entire body. Some bacterial toxins can be used in the treatment of tumors. Then there's a term called toxinosis. What is toxinosis? Toxinosis is pathogenesis, which is caused by the bacterial toxin alone, not necessarily involving bacterial infection. Example, when the bacteria have died but have already produced toxins which are ingested. It can be caused by Staphylococcus aureus toxins. Okay, so here we don't need the bacteria. The toxin themselves are enough to cause the infection. So such kind of infection is called toxinosis. Example of such a bacteria is Staphylococcus aureus toxin. So here they have shown some methods how these toxins can be identified, or if someone's affected by a toxin, how they can be diagnosed of that. Then there are some more toxins like Clostridial toxin. Clostridium is a bacterial genus, and it has around 200 species. It includes around 200 species in the world, and you can find them in various places in the environment. Some of these species produce harmful toxins such as botulinum toxin and tetanus toxin. I hope even though you may not have heard before about botulinum, you have heard about tetanus. Tetanus is a very common bacterial infection that we hear about, and mostly we go for taking that tetanus tetany injection whenever we have a cut or injury, fearing not to get tetanus. So why do we fear not to have tetanus? Because tetanus toxin is very dangerous, and it affects the nerve cells of the body. It affects the neurons. Okay, so this is caused by a bacteria called Clostridium tetani, which produces the tetanus toxin, and it leads to a very fatal condition which is known as tetanus in many invertebrates. In many vertebrates, including humans and some invertebrates. And this tetanus toxin, when it affects our nervous system, then the person may get paralyzed, and then finally it may lead to the death of the person. So it's very essential that you take the injection whenever you find that yes, you have a deep cut, or the cut is because of some sharp object which had been falling in dirty place or rusted ones, because this kind of bacteria are present in the soil, or you may find them in the environment. They are present in the environment, but most of the time they are found to be present in the soil. Similarly, another bacteria which is known as botulinum. This is also a neurotoxin. Botulinum, these are the causative agent of the deadly food poisoning disease, which is called as botulism, and they could pose a major biological warfare threat due to the extreme toxicity and ease of production. So botulinum neurotoxin can be easily produced if they are produced in the laboratory also, or in any highly equipped scientific laboratory. They can be easily produced, and they are extremely toxic. So there is a fear that this particular toxin may be used as a biological weapon. So I hope you know what this biological weapon. Weapon is something which is used during fight or war, right? Similarly, like in general, what we know when we use when any weapon is used in a fight or a war, those kind of weapons are like guns and then tanks and all those. But a biological weapon is a weapon which is by the use of a living organism. Okay, because bio means life. So when you use a living organism for any kind of war, that is known as a biological weapon. And here these toxins may be used to destroy something. You want to destroy the all the human beings of a particular country. So just leave those. If someone what they do, if they release those toxins in the food of a particular region, then a person, if they feed upon that, then what will happen? The entire people, they will die if they are not given immediate medical help. So this is just an example. There are other bacteria also which may be used as biological weapons. So this is a very dangerous thing if scientists happen to use such kind of weapons in future. Okay, then you will also find other toxins like staphylococcal toxins. Then there are even viral toxins. But as we are more concerned about the microbial toxins at the moment, and we are studying on microbial toxins, so these are the different microbial toxins that we need to know. They are endotoxin, ectotoxin, and neurotoxin.